September 3rd, 1923, there were thousands in Vincennes to attend the Ku Klux Klan picnic at the fairgrounds. That area is now called Gregg Park. Visiting Klansmen began arriving Sunday evening by motor and by train. Huge crowds at the fairgrounds was well ordered. Excellent traffic system is to be highly complimented. There was a parade during the night program. An airplane from which a fiery cross was suspended circled over Vincennes during this parade, and it lit up parts of the town. That wouldn't be dangerous today, would it? Amazing what they could get by with back in those days. Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, attending the Labor Day picnic at the fairgrounds yesterday, staged a parade over the city streets starting at about 8:30 p.m. 421 persons, including the members of the 4 bands, marched in this parade. The members, for the most part, were clad in full regalia of their organization. The procession was led by a group on horseback who were labeled to be members of the Junior Klan. The women's organization of the Klan was well represented, some riding in automobiles, and one large float carried women members as passengers. Many of the cars carried an electrically lit fiery cross on their radiators. Following a decorated car would be a detachment of marchers, some of the detachments on foot and others riding horses. Foot marchers carried red torches, making a lurid glow flare in the streets. When the torches were not burning, the men walked silently with folded arms. A float in the form of a miniature school building appeared in the parade commemorating a proposed purchase of Valparaiso University by the Ku Klux Klan. The American flag was much in evidence in the parade as decoration for automobiles. At one point, 2 men carried a huge outstretched flag. While the parade was passing, that's when the airplane carried the fiery cross and circled the city. The cross, they said, stood out in bold relief against the dark sky, arousing a great deal of comment on the streets. The city streets were lined with onlookers along the whole line of march. Fairground Avenue was a solid mass of people from the Union Depot to the fairgrounds. Fairground Avenue is now Washington Avenue. Instead of coming down Fairground, parade crossed on St. Clair Street to 3rd, and there was a great rush to locate the new line of march. It passed over to 1st, where it turned onto Main. The downtown streets being also especially well filled with observers. The parade made its way back to the fairgrounds, where a display of fireworks was one of the concluding features of the day. The class initiation was postponed on account of the wet fairgrounds. The entrance to the ground was illuminated by a large fiery cross at night. Thousands of people coming from over a large district of territory were in Vincennes Monday to attend the Labor Day picnic given by the local order of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan at the fairgrounds. The crowd, estimated at from 10,000 to 15,000 persons, began arriving Sunday evening and continued in increasing numbers Monday as the rain gave way and promises for a clear day grew brighter. Klan members in full regalia were much in evidence beginning early Monday and were scattered about the fairgrounds, attending to duties assigned them. Many women wearing insignia showing them to be officially connected with the organizations were in attendance and took part in the programs. 3 Klansmen dressed as clowns with horses, mules, or Fords as mounts served as announcers, general utility men, and performers. Many Klansmen appeared with the visors of their uniforms up, and there appeared to be little effort at hiding their identity. Many of those on duty were said to be from visiting organizations. The great throng was exceedingly well ordered and well directed all during the day. Those who had charge of making arrangements for the handling so large of a crowd carried out evidently well laid plans in perfection. Uniformed Klansmen was stationed at various street intersections in the city to direct traffic to the picnic grounds. At the grounds, others took charge of the parking in an exceedingly systematic and effective manner. Automobiles entered the grounds at the corner of the old racetrack, at the intersection of the Kelso Creek Road and the B&O tracks. Cars were parked in large double rows, filling all the space between the railroad tracks and the ballpark, all the way to the racetrack. The field west of the railroad was well filled, and cars were lined along Kelso Creek Road, all the way from Fairground Avenue to the tracks. Almost every available space in the neighborhood was filled with parked automobiles, and deep ruts were cut in the rain-softened earth. A first aid station with nurses in attendance, and an ambulance on hand was maintained at an accessible place on the grounds. Drinking water was piped to various places over the grounds, and comfort stations were provided. Organizations headquarters were maintained in the old fairgrounds ticket office, lately used as the caddy house for the country club. The great food supply, prepared in advance by the local order, was well disposed of. Great quantities of beef were barbecued at a large trench and served as sandwiches, made an appetizing morsel. Refreshment stands, spaced at intervals, offered soft drinks and food supplies, which were sold at large quantities. Many visitors brought baskets, lunches with them. A merry-go-round and other amusement devices were provided for the entertainment of the picnickers in the afternoon, and baseball games between the Sullivan Shomies and the Bicknell Independents were played before a large audience. The grandstand and the bleachers were entirely filled. The game was provided to be closely matched and well played, was won by Sullivan with a score of 2-1. Sullivan made its first run in the first inning, not marking up another until the final frame. Bicknell scored its only run in the third inning, most of the game standing of an overtime game until Sullivan rallied in the final and pushed across to win. Airplanes circled over the grounds most of the afternoon, adding to the festival scene. Bombs were dropped to explode in midair with a loud report that aeronauts put the planes through their tricks, looping the loop and performing their stunts. Workers Saturday night elaborated. Preparations were made for the Arbor Day event. Work of shaping up the grounds was commenced early last week, but much of it was not completed until late Sunday. Wires were stretched over the grounds, providing electric lighting from appearances which much of Saturday night was spent preparing the grounds for the big day Monday. Visitors were first noticed coming Sunday afternoon. One automobile bearing a Danville, Illinois license plate drove to the ground Sunday evening with a large electrical lidded fiery cross on the radiator. It was feared by some that the steady rain which fell on Sunday night would keep away many intended comers. This may be true, but there is no denying that a mammoth crowd braved the weather and did attend. Monday morning was gloomy, interspersed with showers, and the early gathering did not show signs of the crowds which later poured in. But along towards noon, the roads leading into Vincennes were particularly one-way traffic. The Bruceville road to the end of the pavement was one continuous stream of automobiles, and the same was true of the other important highways leading into Vincennes. Many of the cars were profusely decorated, flags and bunting. The other towns, there was evidence of large delegations from Terre Haute, Sullivan, Clinton, Bicknell, Washington. Other towns seemed to be well represented, and many cars bearing Illinois license plates were seen. Some of the delegations brought advertisements for Klan festivities to be held at a later date. Under their auspices, a casual glance at a license plate showed automobiles from Michigan, Kentucky, Ohio, Missouri, and Oklahoma. 2 speaking stands were erected with board benches around them for the audience. Various bands gave concerts from the stands during the day. It was said that Bicknell, Sullivan, Terre Haute, and Clinton were represented with musical aggregations. When a program of speaking was in progress, people would gather around the platforms for a space as large as the hearing distance. The noise of the other events of the festivities made this feature of the program similar to the old-fashioned county fair or 4th of July celebration. Beginning about 2:30, the following program was given from the larger platform: reading and dance number by dainty little Miss Orr, aged about 6 years. Vocal solo by Mr. Glenn Miller. Reading by Miss Mary Maxim, addressed by the Reverend Mr. Wakeman. Selections for ladies trio. Reading by Miss Coates. Vocal solo by Miss Dorothy Woods. Dialogue by Madames Coates and Ombre. Reverend Wakeman, opening his address with the words of pleasure at being permitted to speak before a gathering of Indiana Klansmen, stated that it was in the state that the Women's Auxiliary of the Klan was first organized, and that within the past few weeks the Indiana Klansmen had commenced organizing the boys and girls between the ages of 12 and 17 into junior clans to familiarize them with the ideals and policies of the organization. The speaker gave a clear recital of the outward aims of the Ku Ku Klux Klan and made vigorous present action of the facts as he saw them. He stated that the Anglo-Saxon race must be kept uppermost and that America must be kept for Americans, asserting that the thousands of people who pour into this country from the old monarchist countries come here because they are free to do what they want to do and with no thought of their obligations to the protector of their liberties. Valparaiso purchased. Mr. Wakeman lauded the acquisition of Valparaiso University by the Ku Klux Klan and stated that a larger part of its curriculum would be the teachings of the Bible as the foundation of American liberty and to the teaching of American history and tradition. He made a strong exposition of the Klan's stand for law and order and stated that the 18th Amendment, as a part of the Constitution of the government, must be enforced, and that it is the duty of the Klansmen to help see that it is enforced. He stated that many spineless officials who expect at the next election to receive a cross in the square at the side of their names will find instead a fiery cross over their entire names. Other speakers addressed other gatherings during the afternoon, each giving largely the same general text. Agents for the Fiftian's official publication were busy seeking subscriptions on the grounds. Rain, which had interfered with the success of the picnic all through the day and had continually threatened, broke out in a fresh assault about 4:47, breaking up the crowd and sending it to shelter. There was a general exodus from the park and many left for home. The shower did not continue long, however, and there was no appreciable lessening of the crowd noticed last night.